Hey fourth graders, today we're going to read about inside and outside Carlsbad Caverns. So before we read, we are going to go over some vocabulary words. Our first word is cavern. A cavern is a large cave. So these are caverns. It's a large cave. Our next word is deposit. Deposit. So there's kind of two meanings to deposit. One is to put something into a bank account. You may hear that your mom and dad deposit a paycheck into the bank account, or you deposit money into a bank account. Deposit can also mean to put down, lay down, or place. So when we're reading about rivers and the earth, you may hear the river deposits, puts down silt on its bank, or the ocean waves deposit shells on the beach. So this word is deposit. Our last word is formation. Formation. Formation means the act or process of making, creating, or constructing. So just kind of forming something. So something is formed during formation. So we have cavern, deposit, and formation. All right, let's read inside and outside Carlsbad Caverns. Okay. Imagine thousands of bats swirling around you and flying in circles. They form a large black group and fly off into the distance. At Carlsbad Caverns National Park in New Mexico, this happens every day. Around 400,000 Mexican free-tailed bats live in these caverns. Every evening when it starts to get dark, these bats fly out into the night sky to feed on nearby moths and insects. Then at dawn, they return to their caves. Visitors from around the world come to the New Mexico desert to see this amazing sight. One of these visitors is Laurel Matthews. She visited the caves with her family on a road trip. She remembers that at the entrance of one of the caves, there was an area where people could sit and watch the bats fly. We waited a long time to see them, she says. Finally, they started circling out of the cave and they flew off. Out came more and more and more, all of them flying in loops and then out into the sky. It was amazing that there were so many. Laurel also remembers the sound the bats made. She describes the high, screeching noise. It was really creepy, but also really cool, she says. Laurel remembers her family arriving at Carlsbad Caverns. The area didn't look too special when they first drove in. But then we started exploring the big network of underground caves, she said. The caves formed from a coral reef that existed over 200 million years ago. Back then, the area was covered by a sea. But the sea dried up long ago, and the reef became fossilized. A large amount of limestone eventually built up in the area, building the coral reef. Then around 5 million years ago, water from the Earth's surface started to move through the cracks in this limestone deposit. There is a type of acid in surface water. The surface water mixed with rainwater, and together they formed another type of acid. This acid slowly dissolved the limestone deposit. As it wore down the stone, it formed the twisting caves of Carlsbad Caverns National Park. Limestones can easily be dissolved in a mixture of water and acid, so this process happens a lot. For this reason, there are many caves and limestone deposits around the world. Over time, different mineral deposits start to build up in the lower levels of the caverns. These deposits eventually form some unusual shapes. These formations were around during the last ice age, when instead of a desert, there was a pine forest around the caves. Over the years, people working in the park have found clues that hint at what the caves were like in the past. For example, they found some bones of ancient Ice Age animals around the entrance to some of the caves. In 2003, an employee found a part of a stone tool dating back to the last ice age near a cave entrance as well. Today, it's still possible to find fossilized plants and animals in the cave's limestones. These fossils date back to a time before dinosaurs walked the earth. Clearly, the caverns have a long history. Researchers have found that American Indians first lived in the area sometime between 12,000 and 14,000 years ago. Since that time, the caves have been explored by many different groups of people. This includes Spanish explorers in the 1500s and American explorers and guides who made people across the country pay attention to these amazing caverns. Laurel remembered her tour of the caverns very well. It took us between 1 and 2 hours to get all the way to the bottom, she says. She walked down a windy path that led deeper and deeper into the caves. The park had put in blue and red lights to highlight the beautiful rock formations. From the bottom of the caves, Laurel had to take an elevator back to the top. My ears popped so much in the elevator, she remembers. It took a really long time to reach the top. I didn't realize how far down we were until we were on our way back up.